Hi class. In this video, what I actually want to do is I want to work a math lab problem from section 2.1, basically covering an example of what we've just learned in the lecture above. And what I want to also do is show you how to use this program called StatCrunch, which will be a very, very valuable tool when you go to use your homework, as it does a lot of like the graphing and numerical analysis that we've seen in the previous section or in the previous lecture very, very quickly. All right, so we have this example here, okay, and it says the number of bankruptcies filings are shown in the following table for various years. So over here, all the way over on the right, we see bankruptcies. So we have years of year filings. So it starts in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. And then we have the number of bankruptcies in millions. So 0.3 million, or what that means, there were 300,000 bankruptcies. 0.5 million, 0.7, 1.1 million, and 1.2. So you can see that from 2006 to 2010, the general trend is that the number of bankruptcies has gone up. All right, so it goes on to say, let n be the number in millions of bankruptcy filings at t years since 2005. All right, and then it says complete parts A through E. Okay, so I have two variables. N is the number of bankruptcies, and T is the years since 2005. So generally, whenever you're having these type of situations, when you're modeling, the T variable, the variable that represents something for time, in this case it's years, that will generally be the independent variable, okay, or the X variable, or what'll go on the horizontal axis. All right. Then that means that the other variable n will be the dependent variable, or represent the y variable, will go on the vertical axis. All right, so part A says construct a scatter plot of the data in the given table. All right, what variables should be represented on the axis? All right, well, first off, we know that t should be on the horizontal axis. All right, so t should be represented on the horizontal axis. So that means it's either C, D, or E. And n should be represented on the vertical axis. Great. Now, is it because years since 2005 explains the filings explain the year? That doesn't make sense. Or because years since 2005 does not explain the filings? Well, what I think we're seeing here is that the filings are going up because years are also going up. So we're thinking that year, whatever year it is here, explains or affects the filings. All right, good, we got it. All right, what unit should be displayed on the axes? Okay, well, remember first off how we describe T. T is years since 2005, so that should be on the horizontal axis. All right, and the unit's millions, all right, that is how we describe bankruptcy, should be on the vertical axis. So do any of these say years since 2005 should be displayed on the horizontal? Yep. And millions should be displayed on the vertical? Yes. Great, we got it. Actually, tells us we're doing fantastic so far. All right, what scaling should be used? Now, this is a little tricky. All right, we have to look at years, right? Years filings. So it looks like years should be every year. So it goes 1, 2, 3, whatever. So it should not be this for the horizontal, not this, or not this. So that means it's either the scaling 0, 1, 2, comma 16, or 0, 1, 2, 5. Well, you don't want to use 0, 1, 2, 5 because that would limit us on the axis. It would stop after 2010. And then also look, it says the scaling for the vertical axis should be 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 100. Well, no, we start at 0.3 and go to 1.2. So it looks like the scaling here, we want to start at 0, 0.1, And what you notice is that it's going up to 16 and 3.5 respectively. That just gives us a chance to project out into the future. All right, good job. Great so far. All right, the next one says choose the scatter plot. All right. So you have all these different options. So what you're actually going to want to do is let the computer program help you out a lot here. I mean, you could do a lot by just by guessing or by elimination. So we know that years since 2005 has to be on the horizontal axis, so it can't be B, it can't be D. And it looks like as years go up, so does the number of bankruptcies. Well, this is a downward trend. So it's going to have to be this one here. The answer is going to have to be A. You can actually have the program create the scatterplot for you to help. So what I'm going to do is on the table here, you should see these double pane windows. Click on that, and you'll see all these options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click Open in StatCrunch. And you'll see something like this pop up. All right, now it may not pop up for you initially. You'll just have to install your Flash. But this program is going to be very, very helpful. All right, first off, you see it imported years and filings in millions. Well, the year here, all right, remember what variable this was. This was the T variable, all right, and filings was the N variable. That was in millions. And if you want, remember the T was years since 2005. So I'm just going to input those there. Well, you don't have to do anything with the N variable. But what you do have to do is you do have to change this T variable. Right, so since years since 2005, well, that was 1 year since 2005. 2007 is 2 years since 2005, so on. So all I did was I changed the years to the T variable. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click Graph. And you see all these options, but the one we're going to be interested in is the Scatterplot. I'm going to click that. So the X variable, my independent variable, was T, years since 2005. My Y variable was N, the millions. So what I'm going to do next is after I plugged in the X and Y, don't worry about the rest. I'm just going to hit Compute. All right, you should see something like this. But notice the scaling on the bottom here is different from the scalings down here. So remember T, the scaling was for the X-axis here. It was going to start at 0, and it was going to go to 16. And then on the Y-axis, it was going to start at 0, and it was going to go to 3.6. And look at this graph. Does this graph here, once I fix the axes, look a lot like this graph? Yeah, it really does. So I'm going to select A over here. Great, I got it. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch a linear model through the data. Right, you have to be careful to make sure you read the axes because they will try to trick you every once in a while. So we went with years since 2005 down here, millions up here. This was our model. You can zoom in if you want to be able to see it more, right? And it looks like, yes, this was our original data, and this line does a really, really good job going through it. So I'm going to click A. Nice work. Good. All right, the next thing it's going to say is use the line to estimate the number of bankruptcy filings in 2015. All right, so this is a little tricky, right? So first off, you can see it's a drop down, so you have all these options, okay? Well, in 2015, all right, well, it looks like this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Each one of these markers represents 2 years. So that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years. Okay, 10 years since 2005 gets me to 2015. And I'm going to scroll up, and it's going to be this number here. All right, because at 2015, it looks like the graph tells me I should be here, and it's this number of millions. All right, well, what does that represent? Well, here's what you have to do. You go from 0 to 3.6. How many tick marks are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So take the 3.6 and divide it by 12. So each tick represents roughly 0.3 million filings. All right, so that was here. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tick marks. So 2.4 million filings. So when I click in here, look, 2.4. Now, if you do this same procedure and you get a number like 2.5 or whatever, just pick the value that's closest to whatever one you think. Good, we got it. All right, it goes on to say, the data for years for 2016 to 2015 are now shown in the table. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to construct a scatter plot for this. So now what I have here is I have more data thrown into my table. So I'm going to close out my scatter plot. Okay. Notice we want to keep the same years since 2015 or years since 2005 on the bottom with the scale 0 to 16 and millions of bankruptcies from 0 to 3.6 on this scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out my previous StatCrunch and I'm going to open this new data in StatCrunch. Remember, year is T, or years since 2005, and the Y variable is N in millions. So what I have to do is I have to change all these numbers to years since 2005. This is 1, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, and finally 10 years since 2005. So the problem said construct the scatter plot. So I'm still going to go graph scatter plot. My x variable is t, my n variable is n, and I'm going to hit compute. Now again, notice you have to change the scalings. So the x-axis goes from 0 to 16, and the y-axis goes from 0 to 3.6, and you see a graph that looks like this. So when you have to go select an option, it looks like this graph right here follows that same pattern. You can zoom it in to see. And indeed, it does look like that. So that's going to be C. Good, I got it. Now the next one, compute the error in the estimation for 2015 that you made in part C and explain why the error is so large. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, here's what happened. I predicted that in 2015 there would be 2.4 million bankruptcies, but the reality was there was only 0.6 million. Okay, so what is my error? My error is my estimated value minus the real value. So I'm going to take 2.4 minus 0.6, and I get 1.8 million. So that's the error I made. Oops. Good, I got it. All right. Why was my error so large? Well, first off, notice how they were talking about extrapolation or interpolation. Well, we've estimated here a value way outside our last known value here. What that means is it's extrapolation. Okay, so I know it's either going to be this one or this one. So is it extrapolation because the x-coordinate uses between the x-coordinates of 2? No, we use it because the x-coordinate that used in that model is not between the x-coordinate of any other 2. So it's C. We got it. So I hope this example did a good job helping you on your homework, and try to make use of StatCrunch as you go through your homework. It's a good tool for seeing the actual scatter plots. And when you go to need to use the actual scatter plots, don't forget to blow them up or have them expand a little like this. Whatever works for you. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know.